Loading and Viktor Juhasz from Neocore Games. We're talking about Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr. Victor, tell us a little bit about give us the highlights of the game. What makes this different than your other titles that you've worked on?
Inquisitor Martyr is basically, in a nutshell, an open-world sandbox action RPG set in the 40K universe. And what we are trying to achieve here is a game which is, well, a bit different from other action RPGs out there, which has the sense of warfare, which is an integral part of the 40K universe, and where you are basically playing an Inquisitor who is free to roam our very own sandbox sector, rooting out the taint of chaos and heresy, and at the same time fighting through action RPG maps where we have fully destructible environments, blood and gore, huge bosses with destroyable body parts, and where you can play with one of the three classes that we have.
What were some of the challenges going into such an expansive IP that has been around for 30 years?
I think that the biggest challenge is to make the action RPG mechanics work in the 40K environment, because Warhammer 40,000 has very strict rules. The whole universe is governed by very strict rules, and well, we needed action RPG mechanics because this is what we are dealing with. So I think the biggest challenge was to insert action RPG mechanics into the 40K universe and make them work. But I'm fairly certain that we just did it.
How did the development process differ from, for instance, the Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing?
It was very different. Now we are working with an IP that belongs to Games Workshop, and it has like decades of history, as you mentioned. It means that, well, it's both a challenge and huge fun, because we have a universe that has so many things, so many stories, so many creatures. It has its own definitive visual looks. It has a lot of things going on. So challenging, but I think that being part of the 40K universe is one of the perks of doing this kind of job.
And what's the release or projected release date, and on what platforms is this going to be available on?
We are planning to release the game next year, 2017, PCs first, and then Xbox One and PS4 simultaneously.
Any expansion plans in the future for this, or is this going to be contingent on how well this is received?
This is an open world sandbox, and we are going to keep this sector very much alive. It means that we are going to open up the sector gradually, and we are going to add more and more stories to that universe, which means that you can expect DLCs, content patches, all sorts of new material that will make this sector even more complex, even bigger, even more colorful.
Thank you, Victor. I know you're pressed for time. You got a lot of presentations going. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thanks for visiting us.